Today, we're joined by someone who is leading one of the most diverse and dynamic cities in the world, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. It is an honor to have her in Tome Nota, in a space that we use to communicate the Hispanic community all the important topics that they should know in the news world. How you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing fine, and thank you so much for having me on.
It is an honor. I wanted to start with immigration because we know it's a
Sure.
topic very important nowadays, especially in Los Angeles. So we know that recently a federal judge blocked Trump's administration immigration proceedings in California, and this means that ICE is no longer going to be able to stop or arrest in 7 counties in California, including Los Angeles, people just because of their look and the language they speak or where they work. How do you react to this? Is this a victory for now?
Well, it absolutely is a victory because what has been happening here in Los Angeles has been absolutely egregious. The violation of people's basic rights, the idea that cars would drive around unmarked, no license plate, people would be masked. They pull folks over, jump out of the cars with rifles, and snatch people from bus stops, vendors who are selling fruit, people who are working in car washes, chasing people through Home Depot, all under the auspices of looking for quote unquote criminals, people who have been here 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, some people who are legal residents, and they are not making a distinction. And then when they detain them, we don't know where they're going. We don't know if they're still in the city, in the state, or even in the country. They're denied access to their families. They're denied access to legal counsel. And so what the judge did on Friday was she said that the Trump administration has got to stop that. If they are going to detain people, they have to have a reason.
Now, I see in social media that a lot of these agents are using masks. Is this legal?
Well, it isn't, but I think that there are elements of this administration that really don't follow the law. So how is it that people can be literally masked men? They're wearing vests. Sometimes the vests don't even say what agency they're from, or if they're from an agency at all. So how do we know that they're not criminals kidnapping people? And we do know that this has happened. Not in Los Angeles, to my knowledge, but there was somebody that was arrested. Fortunately, he hadn't kidnapped anybody, but he was preparing to because he had all of the tools and the fake identification in his car when they arrested him.
As a matter of fact, I received a lot of phone calls from people in the community. And there was a recent case they called me saying that they have to pay, they were arrested first while they were going to work, and they have to pay their ticket back to their country. Have you had any cases like this, Mayor?
No, we haven't. But the problem is that this is done so unofficially that we don't really know what's going on. Like we don't know where they're taking people. We have no
Now,
idea where they're taking people. So what the court did on Friday is said that you have to give people access to their families. You have to give people access to legal counsel. So hopefully we will see that change. But I do know that the administration is going to try to appeal the ruling from the judge.
and I know that recently you signed an executive directive in response to the federal immigration rates. I want to talk more about this, and so you can explain to the audience what is this about and what are you trying to do with this executive directive.
Well, it was really sad that I needed to do it to begin with, but it's basically to make sure that all of the city departments, and Los Angeles is the nation's second largest city. We have over 40 departments, and we want to make sure that all of the departments understand what their rights are and how to protect Angelinos. So essentially, my executive directive was to help the city protect itself from the federal government. How crazy is that? That I would even need to do that?
And I'm assuming that all started because there were federal agents deployed to the city of Los Angeles because there were manifestations in prior weeks in there.
Exactly. Exactly. And the problem is that the agents that are deployed here, we don't know who they are. We don't even know if they're real agents. If somebody has a mask, if there's no license plate, How do we know who these people are? And basically, they are refusing to identify themselves. So that was also part of the lawsuit. So they are supposed to identify themselves now. Now we will see. I haven't heard of any raids happening over the next day, last day or so, but we'll see what happens when we get into next week. Will they continue? Will they continue to do raids? Will they continue to snatch people off the street? Will they do a quote unquote better job of it? I even hate to phrase it like that because they should leave. There is no reason to do what they're doing here. And our economy in Los Angeles is absolutely dependent on immigrant labor, and the inhumanity to what is happening to families where their family member goes to work and doesn't come home and they don't know where they are. And there's, Los Angeles is a very expensive city. So if you take one income away, the families can wind up homeless.
Mayor, and I know the government said that they were trying to, contain and stop illegal immigration coming in the country. How would you advise them to do that, other than the way that they're doing it?
Well, I'm not going to advise them at all. I mean, that's their responsibility. I think that they should control at the border. But I also understand that people who come to this country are coming out of desperation. I mean, I think there's this belief that everybody wants to be here. But what people have to go through, the journey that they have to go through, risking their lives, their safety to get here, we need to help the countries where they're coming from so that they don't need to leave, because I don't believe that the majority of people want to leave. They're leaving their countries because they feel they have no choice. And some of the problems that happen in those countries, frankly, our country has contributed to the problem.
Let me jump into another topic because I know you announced a plan for cash assistance for individuals who are impacted by the Trump administration's immigration raids, and I want you to explain to everyone what is it about.
So a number of the philanthropic organizations, this is not taxpayers' money, but a number of the philanthropic organizations have come together to provide financial resources. So it is all being worked out now. It's not ready to happen, but when it does happen, it would be resources that would be distributed from community-based organizations. So the role of the city is to be helpful, but it is not actually a program that the city would be implementing itself.
Okay, and it's important that you clarify that because there was a lot of controversy around that announcement, a lot of criticism saying that probably the local, authorities were supporting, illegal immigration, and it's important that you clarify that also.
Well, let me just be clear. I'm supporting Angelenos. That is my job, regardless of who they are, where they came from, or why they're here. And I do not want to see Angelenos who happen to be immigrants fall into homelessness because their family members have been snatched. I don't want to see that happen. And I know that some people will need financial support, and I am certainly not opposed to that. We do not need to contribute to other problems that we have in our city, but breaking up families and leaving families without the income to survive, to me, is just inhumane.
And now I know there was an incident, in the past days. 90 National Guard troops and other federal officers were in the MacArthur Park. What do you sense about the Angelino communities? How did they take it? Was it terrifying?
Well, people were outraged because there was no need for that to happen at all. It was an inappropriate display of force. And what made me particularly upset about it is that the troops marched through a kids' summer camp, kids that were 7 and 8 years old. And then what they had to do is they had to usher the kids inside so that they wouldn't see what was going on. And those kids, and I went and spoke with them, and those kids, 7 and 8 years old, are highly aware of ICE, very much aware of ICE. And they're already afraid that when they leave camp, whether or not their parents will be at home, whether their parents will come to pick them up, or whether their parents will be detained by ICE. This is a level of fear and terror that is imposed upon a population that, again, I think is inhumane. I think it's unconstitutional, and I am hoping that the court decision will stand.
You see it better than anyone else. And a lot of people judge, the community of Los Angeles because during the manifestations, there were vandalism, violent
Yes.
incidents.
Yes.
Do you think that those people who created that are the ones who represent Los Angeles?
Well, I'm going to just say that to me, anybody that committed vandalism or looting, they can't say that they're supporting immigrants because all they were doing was just encouraging the Trump administration to send in the military. But having said that, the problems that occurred in our city, we have a police department, we have a sheriff's department, we have 87 cities in our region that can assist. We had no need for federal troops. We didn't ask for them. We had no need for them. And to me, it was part of the provocation, which is why I get upset when demonstrators vandalize or put graffiti on Olvera Street, a symbol of immigration, or on the Japanese American Museum, a symbol of immigration. And so I don't count those people as supporting the rights of immigrants. But it was a small disturbance that our law enforcement officers handled themselves.
Now, and through this space, through this show, a lot of people, watch it. So I want you to say a message to the Angelinos, and probably the entire country is going to be um, identifying with that. What's the message that you have for the people of Los Angeles?
Well, the message that I have is that I'm going to fight for Angelinos, regardless of where they came from, when they got here, or why they're here. And this is an issue that is very important to me. And it has been an issue that's been important to me for over 30 years. This is the latest battle, and I'm going to fight hard, but it's not my first battle fighting for the rights of immigrants to live peacefully and productively in our city.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Karen Bass, for this interview. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you. Thank you very much.